Buddy, happy Friday. BobbyFi here for my 5 and 5. We had a night of very little NBA action. I barely played it and ready to get back after it with a real slate tonight. And I think it's actually a fairly straightforward slate. We're going to get into my top 5 plays in just a minute, but just started thinking about it overall. It's going to be really hard to not play at least 2 players from New Orleans. I don't even think you need a run back to play 3. And just we'll go over some of those guys in my top plays. And there's obviously some pivots that we'll go over. And it's getting to the point now with the top plays where I'm actually really just giving you like 10 plays here, but I'm talking through like 20. But really, it was supposed to be 5 and 5, but I think that it's good to have pivot or a guy you're using, if not the other one. And here's some decisions you're going to have tonight. So Devontae Graham with no McCollum, with no Brandon Ingram. Devontae Graham and Jose Alvarado are both awesome plays. I think if you're going to try to fade Graham, you should play Alvarado in all those lineups. That's probably his route to not succeeding if you're going to fade him. I don't currently plan to fade him much, but if you are, that's what I would do. And I don't mind if you want to play both of these guys together. I think they're both really, really strong plays. Luka and LeBron, I have them sort of tagged together because I think they're both excellent spend ups. I think that's how I would have it ranked. Luka better than LeBron, but both really, really good plays. And I love them on both sides, as you see. I mentioned Graham also on FanDuel. Have a little more. I don't mind if you want to go Alvarado over there too, but I really like all of these same 4 guys on both sites. And I think LeBron, you can spend up for him. You could run it back with KCP or Kuzma going back to LA. I think it's viable. So I'm going to take some shots with that for sure tonight with the LeBron lineups, and with Luka and LeBron, you can fit both of them on FanDuel together if you want to. Joe Val and Gobert, similar price range centers. I love Gobert to have a big night tonight. I love Joe Val because of the situation, he should get a ton of usage. And really like both of them. So I am going to play them probably together in where I'm playing them, because I think it just, it just differentiates you a little bit more. People, if they're going to decide between the 2 of them versus just playing them both and using both center spots, that's probably what I'm going to do, is just play them both and use both center spots. Devin Booker, his projections across the industry are way too low. And unless somebody fixes that, his ownership is going to be lower than it should be. I think he's a walking 50 plus without Chris Paul, just basically in general. We just saw him put 55 on Miami in the toughest matchup in basketball. Really hard for me to see how Booker doesn't have a nice night here. Love Booker. He's my preferred one. I also like Mitchell. Again, you could play these 2 guys together, get a little different with your build. But I think that is sort of an interesting decision point because they're both really, really solid plays on this slate. And I love them both on DK. Booker's a little more expensive on FanDuel, easier to fade at 10K, but I really like him on DK especially. And, we might get some better value throughout the day. The real guy who I would have on this list that's not here right now is, if Christian Wood is out, which looks very possible, we're going to play Kleber. We're going to play Şengün. I don't care about the 6,200 price tag. We're going to play him on DraftKings. We're going to play him on FanDuel. So assume if Christian Wood is out, he would be on both of these lists. Just want to put that. Şengün would be on both these lists. Kleber and Powell are both in a good spot with no Finney Smith. Even Brunson being out, I just think there's more minutes opened against, in a lineup that they're going to play big a little bit. So I really like the idea of using one of these guys. I don't think I want to play them together, but I think one of them has a nice game based on their price point, and it's a game that I already have exposure to with Luka. So I definitely like both of these guys quite a bit today, which is not, you don't hear me say the Dwight Powell thing very often, but I'm coming around a little bit to the price at 4K. And I can see out in FanDuel, I have it switched. I have Powell is better than Kleber. He's 600 cheaper than Kleber is over there. So they're both good plays, but that's how I've got it. The only guys I didn't mention on DraftKings were the Siakam and Van Vliet, I think, and Conley and Dinwiddie. I think Siakam is the preferred of the 2. 8,100 is too cheap. I understand he doesn't always get there, but even when he doesn't, he's like at 39 fantasy points at 8,100. And he's obviously got the 60 plus upside. I really like Siakam. And if I'm not using him, I would like to use Van Vliet unless I was game stacking to play both of them together. You could throw Scotty Barnes into that mix for that conversation as well, but these are my preferred ones. Mike Conley, Spencer Dinwiddie, 5K for Conley, 5,600 for Dinwiddie, just both a little underpriced given the situation that they're in. Love this spot for the Jazz in general. I mentioned Mitchell on DraftKings, but Conley is at that price point. And I think they're going to start ramping him up for the playoffs more soon. I think you're going to see more 28 to 32 minute games instead of these 20-minute games and Clarkson take over or whatever. So I want us to sort of be ahead of the field on that, or before everyone else sort of gets onto it. I don't think it's going to be unowned or anything. He's too cheap for him not to be owned at all. But 5K is just a little too cheap, and Dinwiddie at 5,600 is a little too cheap with no Brunson and no Durant Finney-Smith. So that's the way I've got it, guys. Good luck to everyone out there tonight. I'll be live at 5:45 Eastern time, and let's crush it. Let's make some money, y'all.